Well, hello and welcome back. My name is MaryAnn Walker, and I help highly sensitive people find more peace by feeling less responsible for other people's emotions. And today I want to talk with you about one of the most freeing concepts that you will ever learn. And it's a very simple idea, but it can get pretty deep pretty quick. So, in a nutshell, it's this: that circumstances are neutral until we have a thought about it. Now, for many of us who are highly sensitive people or recovering people pleasers, it can really feel like the world around us is dictating how it is that we feel. It's dictating our lived experience, what people say, how they respond, what happens in life. But when we really slow down and separate out what actually happened, the facts of what actually happened, with what it is that we're thinking about it, then we can start to see where our true power lies. So let me kind of break down two different things for you. First, we're going to talk about what is a circumstance, and then what is a thought. Now, a circumstance is something that is very factual. You could take this to a court of law, and everybody there would agree that yes, that's the facts, that's exactly what happened. Whereas our thoughts is basically the story that we have read the circumstances through, right? So it's what we're making the circumstances mean, essentially. So, for example, at the time of this recording, my backyard is covered in maple leaves. I have, I don't know, 6 or 8 maple trees, and they all dumped the leaves at the same time. The ground is completely covered. Now, everybody would look at my backyard and say, oh yeah, that backyard is completely covered with maple leaves. And additionally, probably everybody would have a story about it, right? So the facts that are completely neutral is my backyard is covered in maple leaves. But one person might think, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. You should really take care of that. I can't believe how awful it looks. Somebody else might say, oh, it's just beautiful. Don't touch a thing. Somebody else might say, you should really rake that up. It's going to cause a big mess. Somebody else might say, don't rake it. That's for the bugs. You need to just leave the leaves there. Everybody's going to have a story around what it is that they're making my backyard having leaves mean, right? You kind of see what I'm doing here? So just kind of notice that there's a difference between the two. See if you can separate out the facts from your story about the facts. Now, let me kind of share just a couple of examples to kind of help to illustrate this a little bit more. Okay, the fact or the circumstance is you got divorced, okay? Now, there's so many different ways that people could think about this. Sometimes when somebody is experiencing a big life change, such as divorce, it's really easy to assume that everybody's having the same experience. That, oh, you must understand because you're also divorced. However, divorce doesn't automatically mean that everybody's experiencing the same thing. There are some people that are really upset that they're divorced. There's other people that are honestly quite elated. They're just so glad to have it be over with. And then, of course, there's like everything in between, right? And so divorce in and of itself is completely neutral. And it's what you choose to think about it that's going to impact how you feel. So, for example, maybe you're thinking, this is the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. If that's your thought, you're probably going to be experiencing a lot of fear and sadness. Fear around the unknown and sadness that something is over. Or maybe you're thinking, this is my chance to start over. If that's your thought, you're probably going to be experiencing a lot of hope for the future and a little bit of relief that, yeah, I finally get a clean slate. I get to start over. Or maybe you're even thinking, you know what? We did the best that we could, and now we both get to heal. A thought like that is going to create feelings of acceptance and peace. So the divorce itself is just a neutral fact. It doesn't mean anything until we have a thought about it. And it's how you think about it that's going to be shaping how it is that you feel and how it is that you're going to be moving forward through that experience. Okay, another example. You've texted your partner, it's been 3 hours and they haven't texted back. Now, me just saying that, you're probably already having an emotional reaction to that, right? So kind of notice, how is it that I feel when MaryAnn says that? When MaryAnn says that it's been 3 hours and I haven't heard back, how is it that I feel? And again, notice that there's a thought that comes right before that emotion, okay? Our thoughts are going to create how it is that we're experiencing the world. So see if you can catch the thought. When I say it's been 3 hours and my partner still hasn't replied, how is it that you feel? Okay? So maybe you're thinking, they must be upset with me. If you're thinking that they must be upset with me, you're probably experiencing a lot of anxiety around that silence. Or maybe you're thinking, they're probably just busy. It's no big deal. If that's what you're thinking, you're probably feeling calm and trusting that they're going to respond when they're able to. Or maybe you're even thinking, you know what, they must be getting so much done at work. I'm so happy for them. And if that's the case, you might be feeling very supportive and just so proud of them for being so productive, right? So again, the neutral circumstance, it only becomes emotionally charged when we're trying to interpret it through our own story. All right, another example. Your friend has just canceled plans. You were planning to meet up in an hour or so, and you got a text, and the text just said, I can't make it tonight. 5 words. Okay, you got a text that said 5 words. That's the fact. That's the neutral circumstance. And you can think any way that you want about that. Okay, so you might be thinking, you know what, to cancel this short of notice, they must not actually value our friendship. I feel so disrespected right now. I'm not even sure if we're friends. Now, if that's the case, if that's what you're thinking, you're going to be feeling very hurt and disrespected. It's going to create distance in your relationship with this friend. Or maybe you have a thought that, well, I don't know what's going on for them because they didn't tell me. They just said, I can't make it tonight. But I trust that they're taking care of themselves, that they're doing what it is that they need to do, and I'm just so happy for them. Then you're going to be experiencing some peace and understanding in relationship that I might not understand yet why they can't be here, but I do trust and understand that they're doing what it is that they need to do. And that could be very beneficial for the relationship. Or you might even be thinking something like, oh, you know what? I'm actually so relieved because this gives me some time to rest too, right? And then you'd be experiencing gratitude in relationship, and that's going to also be very helpful for relationships. So just kind of notice that each of these thoughts is going to create a different emotional experience, and that emotional experience is going to have significant impact on your relationship. Now, why does this matter, particularly for highly sensitive people and people pleasers? Many highly sensitive people have been conditioned to manage everybody else's comfort level. We have been conditioned to believe it is our job to interpret what it is that they're trying to say. And then we might even get frustrated when we're unable to do so, right? And so we're trying to intuit what it is that they actually mean rather than just taking things at face value and believing people's words. We've been conditioned to manage everybody else's comfort level, which makes us feel very uncomfortable. It's a very heavy weight to take on, right? We absorb other people's moods, and we assume also that not only am I in charge of fixing it, but I'm probably the problem. I probably caused the situation, and this is all on my shoulders. But separating out the fact from the story, it helps us to release any unnecessary guilt or anxiety. You are not responsible for what other people think, feel, or do. I'm going to say that again. You are not responsible for what other people think, feel, or do. You are only responsible for your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. And separating out our story from the facts can help us to do exactly that. So I'm going to share with you a little exercise that I really enjoy doing. Sometimes, honestly, I'll even do these on coaching calls because it can be kind of a hard thing to do when you're feeling emotionally charged. But one thing that I do for myself as well as on my calls is kind of a big thought download where I'm just kind of just getting all of it out of my head or all of it out of the client's head, and then kind of separating out the thoughts from the circumstances, right? Kind of separating out the lights and the darks, just like with laundry. So I might write down a whole story, and then I'm going to look at that story and see if I can identify, okay, what are the facts and what is the story? And I might even highlight them in 2 different highlighter colors so that I can visually see what is coming up for me. So for example, let's say that I have invited my husband to go out to an event with me. Hey, I was wondering if you'd like to go with me to this event. What do you think? And he might say, sure, I'll go with you, and then turn around and leave the room. And I might be sitting there thinking, why did he hurry and turn around and leave the room? What's going on? Something must be going on. First of all, right? That's my first thought is something must be going on. He's probably trying to hide something from me. He doesn't actually want to go. He was trying to hide the fact that he doesn't actually want to go with me. My marriage is probably in trouble. He's telling me that he wants to go with me, but he doesn't actually want to go with me. And he's trying to hide that from me. And now I'm going to have to spend the whole night feeling guilty for even inviting him. I'm going to be walking on eggshells, trying to make sure that he has the best time ever, just to try to minimize the impact on me later. And I can't even believe that I asked him to do this. I should have never asked him if he wanted to come with me. Right? There is so much story around that. But The only fact is, the actual circumstance is, number one, my husband said he would go with me, and number two, he left the room. Now, there could be any number of reasons why he did that. My brain is going to want to fill in the story. Brains are amazing at filling in stories. They want to fill in the gaps, and they want to, well, they're really good at confirmation bias. So if you're already thinking that you're a burden on somebody else, your brain is going to look for all of the evidence that, yeah, you're right, you are in fact a burden. I can't believe you asked your husband to go with you to that event. But the truth is that there are so many reasons why he might have turned around and left the room. Maybe he needed to use the restroom. Maybe he was thinking, oh, but I want to wear that shirt to that event, so I better go start some laundry. Maybe he wanted to hurry and finish up a project so that he could be free that evening to go with me. There could be any number of reasons why he turned around and left the room. But what I choose to believe about why he left the room is going to have significant impact on how it is that I'm feeling and how I'm showing up in that relationship. It's going to have a significant impact on my relationship with my husband. So just kind of notice that we're really good at writing stories. We are, in fact, the best storytellers. I think I have an episode on here about storytelling. I think I should link it in here. It's been a hot minute since we've talked about storytelling. But brains are amazing at writing stories. And once you're able to slow down the mind enough to identify that, oh, look, my brain is telling me a story and that story is optional, that's when you're able to really feel empowered and create a life that you truly want on purpose, okay? Rather than emotionally reacting to the story in our head, we're able to consciously choose the story and then respond rather than react emotionally. So that is your challenge for this week, is pick one situation that's been bothering you and then write down your whole story about it. Write down all the details, get it all out. Sometimes just reading our story helps us to see that, okay, well, maybe I was exaggerating a little bit there. And okay, well, yeah, he doesn't traditionally do that. So I could see how that's maybe not true, right? Sometimes just writing down the story can be very helpful and looking at it in black and white. When it's in our head, we just kind of play it on loop and we don't really challenge the story, but looking at it helps us to think about it more critically. So write down your story and then see if you can separate out the facts. And remember, the facts are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It's something that in a court of law, everybody there would agree that, yes, that is true. That is the fact, okay? It's not the story. See if you can separate out the fact from the story. Recognize that there is fact and there is story, and everybody's going to want to write their own story about it, okay? So let's play around a little bit more with this husband example, okay? Husband said he'd go and then he left the room, okay? Let's assume for a minute that it is true, that he left the room because he doesn't actually want to go. Guess what? That's husband's responsibility. Your responsibility is to look for the facts. The fact is, husband said he'd love to come, and then he left the room. Okay? If husband doesn't want to come, it is his responsibility to come to you and tell you that. It is not your responsibility to divine that or intuit that. Okay? It's about separating out not only your lived experience, but also learning to trust other people. So if we have the story in our head that I need to intuit all of my husband's actions and facial expressions, then guess what? He's never going to learn how to communicate. So it is your responsibility to bring it to him. If you're getting mixed information, to say, hey, you told me that you wanted to go with me to this event, but you're being really quiet and shut down. I would like to be able to take you at your word. So do you want to talk about it? This is a great opportunity to really experiment with accountability. And you're not only separating out the circumstances from the story, but you're also allowing other people to have an opportunity to show up differently, because you're able to say, hey, I'm confused because you told me that you wanted to come with me. Okay, you're able to show up with the fact. And also when you're able to show up and just state the facts free of any emotion, it gives them an opportunity to tell you their story. It would be very different if I said, hey, you always do this to me. You're always changing your mind and you're telling me one thing, but you're doing something else. Then I'm attaching my story. It's going to impact the communication there. So be willing to acknowledge when you're having a story and also be patient with other people and give them an opportunity to tell you what's coming up for them so that it can be addressed, okay? But the separating out the circumstances from the story can be extremely valuable when it comes to this accountability, when it comes to overowning other people's emotional reactions, and also just noticing that, okay, this is me choosing how it is that I want to show up emotionally. And maybe I want to choose a story that would be a little bit more supportive for me and the life that I want to create right now. So, your challenge for this week is to just pick one situation that's been bothering you. Write down everything that you want to write down about it. Write down why it is that you're feeling that way. And then see if you can separate out the circumstances from the story that you have about those circumstances. Okay. So the facts from the story and see what it is that you can figure out there. And maybe you do want to use two different colors of highlighter so you can kind of see how much story you're attaching to something as simple as there's a bunch of leaves on my ground, right? The leaves have fallen on my yard. And what story am I creating about it? Am I creating a story about whose job it is to rake the leaves? Is it my job? Is it my husband's job? Is it the kid's job? How much story do I have around it? And is that serving me? Am I assuming that everybody has the same story? And how is that impacting my relationships? How is it impacting how I'm communicating with other people? How is that story making me feel right now? To assume that, well, everybody should have the same story in their head, that we're all going to show up at this time on Saturday morning and rake all of the leaves together, and nobody's going to complain, and we're going to have one time where we all jump in the leaves and we laugh and we giggle, and then we're going to bag up all the leaves and put them away. To have that story in my head but to not clearly communicate it, it's going to do everybody a disservice. So just kind of notice yourself. What are your stories? What are the circumstances? What's the true fact? And what is your story about it? You don't need the world around you to change in order for you to experience peace. You just need to start noticing your thoughts around what is happening in the world around you. And that is where your power lies. So if this episode has resonated with you, and if you're ready to start untangling your thoughts from your circumstances, I would love to support you. This is one of my favorite things to do on coaching calls, to just help people better to identify what it is that their mind is creating so they can find a more supportive story for them, one that better serves them and better serves their relationships, one that helps to alleviate anxiety rather than reinforce it. So if you are ready to experience more out of life, come and work with me. You can click the link in the show notes to come and book a free clarity call with me. This is 100% free, zero obligation. It'll kind of give me an idea of where it is that you're at in life and where you'd like to go. And so we can just come up with a loose plan and see what might be helpful and supportive for you and how coaching might fit in with that. So feel free to come and book a call with me. These are booking quickly for the holidays. A lot of people are wanting to gift themselves coaching for the holidays, for the new year. So if you would also like to do that, come and book with me sooner rather than later because spaces are filling up quick. All right, well, I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember that you do deserve to take up space, even in your own mind, and I can show you how. All right, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.